Wouldn't it be nice to have an expert in your ear at all times telling you how to handle tricky, common parenting problems? Well, if it's a parenting cheat sheet you're looking for, my next guest has it. She's sharing 5 one-liners for moms. These are your go-to sayings that will diffuse contention and create connection. Known as the conscious mom, parenting coach Erin Morrison joins me through the screen. Hi, Erin.
Hi, Amy. Thank you for having me.
Welcome in. So let's talk about your practice, because in that, do you find a lot of moms are running into the same problems?
We have so much more in common than we think, but the number one thing I notice is that we as mothers show up so much differently than we had hoped to, right? We have a plan to be this certain kind of parent, and then when we get into the field of parenting, we're like, wait a second, it's not going as planned.
Yeah, I think it's nice to know that we're all kind of in the same boat. So you have 5 mom one-liners for us. And your first one, I love, it's you can be mad, but you can't be mean. Explain, maybe is there a scenario you could help us with that where we would use this?
In a daily occurrence in my house, right? So we want our children to know that all their emotions are welcome, but all their behaviors are not. And so I love saying that, listen, you can be mad, but you can't be mean. Here's what you can do instead. Because when we tell our children to just not do the thing that they're doing when they're angry, it can be confused that they're just not allowed to be angry at all. And so to encourage our children to feel their feelings, but to do it in a way that is safe and healthy for everyone, we can use the line, you can be mad, but you can't be mean.
I love that. I love that. Also, when we see an argument maybe bubbling, you say you have an idea for us there too.
Right. So if you are thinking about so if you feel like you're angry, right, you're frustrated with your child, it's important for you to remember that your feelings are the number one thing that you can control in the situation with your children. And so I tell parents all the time, pay attention to how you feel. And if you feel that you're too upset and you're getting into an argument with your child, I love saying, I love you too much to argue. This teaches our children that very important conversations need our own emotions to be regulated. So it's okay to walk away. It's okay to tell your child, I need a second to think about this because this deserves my full attention. And I want to make sure I give you the best answer possible.
I love adding that to what I kind of did when my children were younger. It doesn't happen as much now, but when those things would start to get heated, I told all of my kids, you can tell me you need a moment, because I sometimes would be a little too much. And so even as my daughter got into her college years, she would say, I need a moment. And then we would take a little break before we continued.
Wonderful.
That's great. A common thing all moms say, I think, is maybe you gave them a chore to do and you say, why didn't you unload the dishwasher when I asked? But you say there's a better way to go about that.
I love giving our children the benefit of the doubt, because isn't that what we want? If you think about with your husband or your wife and they come at you and say, why didn't you do this? You're already on the defense. And so for our children, instead, I love saying, did you forget? Or I think you might have forgotten. This gives them a sort of a path to explaining what happened. They can be like, yeah, I did forget. I was busy playing. Or they can be really cheeky and say, no, I didn't forget. I just didn't want to do it because I'm really tired. And then that opens up the path to communicate to our kids, to understand where they're at, and then still help them through to do the chore or whatever it is they need to do.
Do you think that is a phrase that would work for all ages? I definitely see that working for youngers, but I'm trying to think, would that fly with my 17-year-old?
I mean, I think that the essence of it would work, right? I mean, I think they're going to be like, no, I didn't forget. I just don't want to do this anymore. But I think what it does is it's really about the energy behind it. Not coming at them angry and putting them on the defense. So you know what? You try it out and you let me know.
I'm going to. I think you forgot to take out the garbage. I'm trying that next time for sure. Okay, so another common mom saying, I told you so. That's one I've worked hard to put in my back pocket so I don't use it. So what should we say instead when we're feeling that?
I think we really, in the back of our minds, you tell your child, don't climb on that. And they fall and you're like, well, I told you so. But the phrase, I told you so, doesn't really do anything to help our connection and the trust we have with our children. And so if we really want our children to believe that they can come to us with anything, how we respond to moments where they've made mistakes or they're coming to you in a vulnerable situation. We have to show them that it's not I told you so. It's I told you I'd always be here for you. I told you you can tell me these things and I'm still going to be here by your side.
I like that. So when because no doubt they're feeling badly already when they've made a mistake, when they did something you told them not to do, just to remind them that you'll always be there for them instead of shoving it in their face.
Exactly. And you know what? We all don't need that anyway. No one needs to hear I told you so. You're very aware when you did something you shouldn't have done.
Yeah, we can use that for our friends, for our partners, anyone. I think that's just not a good saying we should be using. Finally, you say that you have a phrase for us that we should reach for, and it is that makes sense, and we should use it often. Why is that?
So I think one of the biggest disconnects sometimes between parents and kids is we forget that our children are human, just like us, that they have the same emotions. And instead of saying to our kids, like, I don't understand why you would do that, looking beyond just their anger, their frustration, and understanding that human emotion there helps us so that we can be connected to them. So rather than saying, I don't understand why, you can say, that makes sense. You're disappointed you didn't get the spot in the play, or that makes sense. You don't want to clean up your dish after you've had a long day. That just gets us reconnected to our kids so we can show up as the parents we want to be, which is more connected, but of course, still grounded, sturdy leaders.
Yeah, that gives me two Gen Z phrases I've enacted because of this. Number one, valid. Like we hear that all the time. I say that. And then I get that. I get that. Valid. Those are all things that make sense. Those are all things that validate what our kids are saying. So thank you for that. So finally, when a kid is feeling mad or frustrated, maybe they aren't listening to what you're saying, do you have a key to diffusing that contention? Maybe something all of your one-liners have in common?
Absolutely. And it comes back to us. I think we're so focused on trying to make sure our child is doing all the things that we forget that we're the ones doing the parenting. So when you use phrases like these, of course, in your own words, if that feels best for you, it reminds you to check in with yourself and where you're at. Because if you need to step away and you need a moment, like your children say, then you'll be able to come back to the situation as the parent you want to be.
That's perfect. I like you giving us these phrases that we can reach for. I appreciate you, Erin. Where can people find more if they want to learn more from you?
Absolutely. The best way to find me is on Instagram, and my handle is It's the Conscious Mom.
It's the Conscious Mom. Thanks so much for being here, Erin.
Thank you so much, Amy.